Good afternoon. Today is Tuesday, June 2nd, 2020, and this is the first and I believe only hearing this month for the City of Tempe Hearing Officer. I'm going to go ahead and read something into the record about procedure, and then we'll go ahead and jump right into our agenda. The City of Tempe Hearing Officer is authorized by Arizona revised statutes and the City of Tempe Zoning and Development Code. The hearing officer has the duty to carry out both the provisions and the intent of the Zoning and Development Code and the Tempe City Code. The hearing officer is granted the authority to conduct public hearings to decide upon the abatement of code violations occurring on properties within the City of Tempe. Code violations include, but aren't limited to, deteriorated landscaping, inoperable vehicles, deteriorated structures, storage of junk or refuse, or deteriorated swimming pools. Abatement actions are brought before the hearing officer by the city's Code Compliance Division, typically after numerous attempts at contacting the property owner to obtain voluntary compliance with the code. The hearing officer may issue an order directing the owner, occupant, rental agent, property manager, or other responsible person to abate a code violation or authorize the city to abate the condition, giving rise to the violation. The cost of the abatement is the responsibility of the owner of the property where the violation occurred and may be collected as an assessment against the property found to be in violation. On today's agenda, we have 6 items. We have a set of minutes and 5 property abatements. This is a revised agenda. Before we had 11 items. However, items number 2, 4, 5, 6, and 8 have been brought into compliance with the city code. Therefore, abatement is not necessary. As the hearing officer, I reviewed the Community Development Department report on the items being considered at this hearing, and I used this report as part of my decision. Additionally, there's inspections made of the property this morning, as a matter of fact, and I'm typically given photographs as of the condition of the property as of today. Any property owner who is aggrieved by a decision of the hearing officer may file an appeal within 14 calendar days after the hearing officer has made a decision. As such, the deadline for appealing any decision rendered today is 3 p.m. on June 16th, 2020. Joining me this afternoon from Community Development are Shelby Meyer to my left and Drew Yoakum on my right. So I can dispense with that. That brings us to the first item on our agenda, which is a set of minutes from May 5th, 2020. I had the chance to review the minutes in the packet that I was given, and I think they accurately reflect what took place at that hearing. So I'm going to go ahead and approve the minutes from May 5th, 2020. As I mentioned previously, agenda item number 2, that property has been brought into code compliance. So we're now on agenda item number 3. This is a request for abatement of public nuisance items at the Brown property located at 1877 East Loma Vista Drive. The applicant is the City of Tempe, represented today by Michael Glab. Mr. Glab?
Good evening. Michael Glab, Residential Code Inspector for the City of Tempe. I'm here tonight in reference to this property at 1877 East Loma Vista Drive. In February of 2020, my office received a complaint related to this property. I then conducted an inspection and observed at least two violations of city code present at the property. I then mailed a notice to the property owner. In March of 2020, I returned to the property and observed little to no change. I then posted a notice to the structure itself advising the homeowner of the 2 violations. In April of 2020, I did return to the property and observed little to no change. We have previously abated this property for deteriorated landscape and junk and debris. And as a result of that prior history and seeing little to no change over the course of 2 months, I then sought the submission of the application for tonight's agenda to seek approval for a property abatement for this property. Notice of intent was then posted to the property itself. Up until the date of the submission of the application, 5 complaints had been received by my office. Since that application submission date, at least 3 more complaints have been received by my office related to the state of this property.
So, excuse me, that would be 8 complaints total from separate individuals within that neighborhood, or?
At least 8 different dates where somebody complained. I'm unsure of how many different complainants, as complainants can complain via the phone app, city website. But at least 8 separate complaints have come in related to the state of this property.
Okay. And did you go out there this morning?
I did inspect it today. And if I can present photographs from today. This is a gravel landscape, and you can see that there's significant dead growth present throughout the entirety of it. Of note, in the carport area here, you can see a structure that's been set up. It's related to junk and debris, and I'll be referring to that in just a moment. And this is a photograph from today as well, showing from a different angle. You can see some grass and weeds that are actually taller than the vehicles that are present there in the carport, almost up to the roof line. This is a photograph taken from behind the property. You can see a toilet bowl resting on the back patio, backyard landscape. And then there's some debris on the back patio. I apologize for this one being in black and white. The printer settings changed, unfortunately, in the printing process.
That's
so,
okay.
But he has items stored on the carport, which it appears he's trying to obscure from vision. But at the very least, you can see a toilet bowl and then some overheight grass and weeds clearly visible in the backyard landscape. These are some older photos that kind of refer to the one I previously presented. You can see the stored structure here in the carport. This one's from April though, and it shows what exactly is in here. We have like some boarded up structures, a television stored over here, panels of wood leaned up over here. This photograph here may also show a little bit better. Television,
Right.
box for the television, some corrugated metal sheeting. But he's been using the carport for a storage area and the backyard now based upon the photograph from today as well. So at this time, I'm seeking 180-day open abatement window for this property. As again, we've had to abate it previously, and it appears that we may need to abate it again this time.
Okay. Thank you. I was informed that we had someone, a member of the public, show up this afternoon with regards to this case. Given the social distancing requirements for COVID-19, they are not allowed to enter into the chamber. However, they've provided a written comment that I'll read into the record. So the person providing the input is apparently the property owner, Victor Brown, saying, I've asked for information, processes, assistance from the inspector, the city manager, Care 7, et cetera, to deal with mental and physical illness. And I think he means, and forwarded copies of recordings, stats of complaints, et cetera. I'm not entirely sure that that's what it says. He says, I have received nothing. I have been under to unemployed for over a year. There is a lot more. So I'm assuming that he means he has more to say, but perhaps given the unique situation, with attendance, he's unable to provide that information. I think I see him standing back there. I don't know if he's able to hear. There is no method for him to hear outside the chamber. Okay. So thank you, Mr. Glab. Again, I don't believe Mr. Brown can hear me, but I'll go ahead and say, this property owner has had plenty of opportunity to address these conditions. It doesn't appear to me to be monumental in nature. The items that need to be disposed of, frankly, could be picked up in the bulk trash pickup that we have at the city. What is it, every other month? That would have taken care of it. I know that just occurred probably a week, maybe 2 weeks ago at this point.
Correct.
A toilet can be easily hauled out there. Any number of the things in the driveway could, again, be taken out to the curb like, most of us do. in the city of Tempe. And I think that could happen regardless of employment status. He didn't mention a physical illness, and appears to be, in good physical condition in the back of the chamber. So I think he's had adequate opportunity to clean the property. I agree with your assessment. Thank you for the pictures from this morning. So I'm going to go ahead and approve your 180-day. Mr. Tamulevich?
Thank you.
Yes, Hearing Officer, I wanted to make note that Mr. Victor Brown was notified 2 weeks ago that he had the ability to actually present online. So he did not respond to
Okay.
our request. So he did have the ability to get online and voice his comments and
Talk through
concerns.
through
Yeah.
the Zoom or WebEx or
Right,
whatever.
or by phone, that's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Great, thank you.
Okay,
I'm
thank
glad
you.
you put that into the record. So as I was saying, I agree with your assessment. I think 180 days is very appropriate in this case. Therefore, I'm granting the abatement contained in CE 201257. Thank you, Mr. Glab. This brings us to agenda item number 7. This is a request for abatement of public nuisance items at the Carpenter property located at 1646 West Fairmont Drive. The applicant is the city of Tempe, represented today by Ashley Nichols. Ms. Nichols.
Good evening. I'm here regarding the 1646 West Fairmont Drive property, seeking a 180-day open abatement for some landscaping issues. And I have some updated photos from today. But I have sent notices to the property owner, and she was cited as well. And I've had no contact with her. She hasn't called and responded to the ticket or anything at this time.
Okay.
We have received some complaints from the neighbors that live on either side of her with issues about the landscaping. And they actually recently took care of the front yard themselves. So here's a updated photo. The front, the dead tree still remains and still needs to be removed, that large pine tree. Here's a better photo of it. And then there is some dead limbs on the pine tree next to it.
Okay.
And then the backyard still has a lot of overheight back there. It's gotten to be pretty severe in the back.
Yeah, and not only tall, but dry, which I look at that and I see as like kindling for a fire.
Yeah,
like-
that was one of the concerns from the neighbors, was that it could potentially be a fire hazard.
Sure. Some of these pictures we get in the spring, they don't look so bad because everything's green and it just looks like it's, oh, and look at all the pretty plants, but then they dry and look horrible.
And then the last photo is regarding the fence that's fallen over that we've asked to be just tacked back up. Just right there on the side, that wood fence, it's fallen over.
Oh, I see. Got it. So that would be part of the abatement to
Yeah,
have that.
it was included in there.
Okay. Perfect. And no input from the property owner?
No phone calls or emails or anything from her, no communication, just the neighbors that were concerned.
Okay. Well, I don't see anyone here this afternoon and have not been given any comment cards, and I don't believe we have anyone on the phone this afternoon wishing to join us to speak to this agenda item. So based on your, what you showed me from this morning, the current condition of the property, I'm going to go ahead and approve you're asking for 180 days, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
The 180-day abatement contained in CE 197458. Thank you. This brings us to agenda item number 9. This is a request for abatement of public nuisance items at the Adams property located at 5935 South, 5934 South Juniper Street, and the applicant is the City of Tempe, represented today by Brandy Zedler. Ms. Zedler.
Hi, good afternoon. Brandy Zuther, Code Inspector with City of Tempe. Our office received a complaint on this property in February, actually February 12th, concerning the deteriorated landscaping. This has been a continuous problem with this property, which is why I sent him a final notice immediately on this property. I re-inspected it on March 11th. There was no change to the condition whatsoever. I did post a notice to the door indicating that if he didn't have the weeds removed by March 18th, that a citation would be issued. And when I went back out there on March 26th, there was no change, therefore I issued citation at that time for deteriorated landscape. The citation was failure to appear, and no payment was made on that. I did go back out there on April 13th, whereas there was still no improvement. I requested a bid at that time for the abatement, which came in for $1,126. At that time, when I re-inspected on May 7th, there was still no change. That's at the time I submitted for the abatement, which leads to today. I did take some photos today. There has been some improvements. As you can see in the driveway, there's still a large amount of weeds. It looks like he's pulled quite a bit, and there's a large pile of the debris in the front now. Still a lot of weeds going on in the planter areas. And this is what it looks like in the front. So he's got. Oh, nobody can hear us. What?
Oh, the mic is over.
Oh, sorry about it. There has been improvement on the front yard, as you can tell, with a large amount of the weeds being removed. But as it appears, you can tell they piled them in the front yard. So I am requesting continuous abatements in the next 180 days if deemed necessary, due to this being a continuous problem. I have received multiple complaints, anonymous complaints that have come in regarding the condition of this property, 23 to be exact. So it's neighbors are very concerned about this condition.
Well, you can tell I'm looking at a picture from the packet in March where the property to the immediate right is very well maintained, very, organized, and you can tell that there's a pride of ownership in the property to the right. And then you have this one is kind of a stark contrast. So no responsiveness from the property owner. They've tried to do what they can, and frankly, if in the next 2 weeks they complete that cleanup, then the abatement would go away. But you would still have the tool, should the situation arise where it goes back to a state like this, that we could go in and abate it, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Drew, we don't have anyone on the phone wanting to speak on this agenda item?
No, Madam Hearing Officer.
Thank you. Then, given the condition of the property as of today and the non-responsiveness on the part of the property owner, I'm going to go ahead and approve the 180-day open abatement request for the property at 5934 South Juniper, contained in CE 200927. Moving on to agenda item number 10. This is a request for abatement of public nuisance items at the Honsick property located at 847 West Rice Drive. The applicant is the City of Tempe, represented again by Ms. Zedler.
Brandy Zedler again, City of Tempe, Code Compliance. Our office received a complaint on this property on March the 2nd for deteriorated landscaping. Again, this property is a continuous problem. We've actually abated it quite a few times in the past already. which is the reason why I sent just a final notice. It was mailed and posted to the property. I have received no contact at all. This property is vacant. And not only concerning the landscape, there is a beehive in the eaves by the front door. Neighbors are really concerned about the bees in that area. I did receive a bid to clean up the landscaping and remove the beehive in the amount of $725. At the time, on May 7th, when I re-inspected the property and submitted for the abatement, there had been no change. The bees are still active and no change to the condition of the landscaping. When I was out there today, the neighbors have actually posted, you can see a little notice on the garage door. It's something that they posted indicating they want someone to take care of the property. They're very concerned. As you can see, there's no change here to the condition. The bees are still very active in the area that's near the front door in the eave section. I didn't walk up there because of them being active as such, but there are in this area here.
Wow.
And I'm also requesting 180-day continuous abatements if deemed necessary due to the repeat offense and continuous abatements that have been needed at this property.
Thank you. I remember when I saw the last name, it's an unusual last name. I clearly remembered abating this property before. Mr. Yocum, anyone on the line for agenda item number 10?
No, Madam Hearing Officer.
Thank you. Based on your assessment and the photographs of the condition today, and given the history of the property, I'm going to go ahead and approve the 180-day open abatement for the property at 847 West Rice Drive, contained in CE 2015-50. Thank you. The last item on our agenda is a request for abatement of public nuisance items at the Webb property. This property is located at 8630 South Hazelton Lane. The applicant, again, is the City of Tempe, represented by Brandy Zedler.
Good afternoon. Okay, so this one is concerning landscaping issues and a beehives as well. The complaint came in on March 23rd. This is, again, a continuous problem with this property. You may be familiar with it as Jack Schofield is the one that has abated it in the past multiple times. I have posted, I posted notices to the property with no response, and notices got returned. From what I understand from the neighbors, the owner is in some type of assisted living or nursing home and is unable to maintain the property any longer. I have spoke to several of the neighbors and they're very concerned, especially about the bees and the weeds, especially in the back. Today I took photos. The front, they've actually been maintaining the front on their own
The neighbors?
accord, yeah. But I kind of told them, let the city take care of that. So there's not a whole lot of new growth yet in the front because they had cleaned it up. Looking at that. The back, it's so high in the back, I couldn't get all the way back there.
Wow.
Really no change except just worse from the pictures that you have in your packet. The beehive is in this area right here, kind of up in the eave area. According to Mr. Schofield, that beehive has been a continuous problem too with that property, which is why I'm asking for a continuous 180-day abatement if deemed necessary with just trying to maintain this.
Right. Yeah, I definitely, okay, hold on. I just hit a button that I didn't, okay, never mind, I fixed it. My iPad hit a button and the screen blacked out. Yeah, I agree with you. Your assessment, the photographs of the property, I do appreciate the efforts of the neighbors. That's really kind of them, but you're right, it's best left to the professionals to clean up the property. There are certain risks involved when you go onto someone else's property and clean it up and you think you're doing a good thing, but if you would get hurt or, attacked by a colony of bees, you wouldn't have a whole lot of legal recourse. So it is better to allow the city to clean this up and use this abatement process. Sounds like the property owner is in a bad state, unable to do it, and that's why we have this process. I'm going to go ahead and approve your 180-day open abatement case for the property at 8630 South Hazelton, contained in CE 2020-12. Thank you. That is the last item on our agenda this afternoon. Staff, do you have any announcements?
Yes, the next hearing officer meeting will be held July 7th, not June 16th, but July 7th.
Okay, great. I'll make a note of that. And no further business, then we're adjourned. Thank you.